I'm Farrah Karapetian, and I'm a C.O.L.A 2021 fellow. When I found photography, I found something that really kind of took me out of my head, took me out of a kind of a constant sense of criticality, and spoke for itself on the wall. The question of representation, the kind of capacity of the camera to represent moved the conversation immediately away from how it was represented and into the why, and into the kind of manner, into the kind of question set that would unite a group of images. But over time, even that wasn't enough, and the each new unfolding of process opened up a new set of questions. And most of those questions, most of the questions that kind of define my art practice surround the relational aspect of a work of art between the subject, the author, and the audience. And that's been true even when I was making pictures with a camera. I just didn't know how to kind of get out of the frame and make that kind of conversation really available, built into the work, until I began to do these more kind of experiential processes around cameraless photography and performance. The primary kind of characters in this project kind of circumnavigate the Paris salon of this woman named Paulette Nardal. She was the oldest of 7 sisters. So she, Jane, Andre, and a couple of her other sisters all kind of lived in Paris. She was the first Black student at the Sorbonne. I think I'm really invested in these women on a personal level because of their kind of career stage and life stage. Paulette was, by the time I really encounter her writing, she's basically my age, not married, doesn't have children, is caring for all of her other sisters, is really interested in the kind of creative communities she can forge. So I love the kind of community that she's creating and that all of these women are creating, and the way that they're kind of transnational in their thinking. It's very contemporary. And I also, of course, want to advocate for them as historical figures. But I think even more than that, I'm interested in finding philosophies that can help us with our visual literacy today, because we have so many kind of opportunities missed every time there's a problem that hits the news around kind of re-traumatization of communities that don't want to see themselves constantly depicted as victims of X, Y, or Z, or questions of exoticization, questions of identity. And we really just don't have an early language. We have the people who came right after her, like Frantz Fanon and all these people who were literally writing about the same place. But there's a woman at the spout of that, the fountainhead of that, who's never kind of a part of the conversation. Whenever I encounter a situation that needs to be kind of reconstructed, I start with objects. I start with really banal things, because I think that's our entry point into memory, muscle memory and visual memory. So in this case, these women, maybe a couple of them, maybe Claude Cahun, because she's a photographer, she has images of herself that we can source. But most of these thinkers are really poorly represented. Online you can find like one picture of Paulette Nardal's face and like nothing of her body, nothing of her apartment, nothing of the stuff of her practice, even though she, published all these different things and had this like dramatic event in World War II where she's like, jumping off a ship and breaks open her knee, like beautiful kinds of visuals you can read about if you really, really look, but there are no pictures. And so I began to kind of create an archive of details, just life details, which I think kind of start to flesh out these characters in a way re-embody them as much as build their world. So Jane Nardal, for example, wore one earring occasionally just to be sassy, or she would carry a cane just to be sassy. And so when I say world building or kind of re-embodying, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm elaborating them personally so that we can even begin to rely on them as political and philosophical narrators. In this case, I simply could not string together the details of these people's lives without writing a film script. There was no other way to do it. I tried to take notes. I tried to, kind of put things in timelines, but it didn't work because I wasn't just making a timeline. I wasn't just looking at major events of when things were published and whose ideas came from where. It really did have to kind of be both characterized in terms of, what a character would wear, what they were listening to musically in their living room and at the kind of black balls at the time in Paris. So it's in order to kind of world build entirely, I did have to write a script. So on a very, very experiential level, I hope that it begins to touch people's personal experience of the informal labor that derives from domestic space, where women work, or not always, but where traditionally a lot of work has gotten done, and certainly for everyone during COVID. There's a lot of kind of secondary layer to that of, okay, this is a place I identify with, but the secondary layer to it is, well, what kind of informal labor do you do? And what kind of informal labor are you seeing around you? And are manifestos the only thing that causes revolution, or is it conversation and the kind of development of vocabularies? And then, of course, more specifically still, what is the language of this revolution that took place in this living room? What were they trying to instigate? And are those questions still relevant today? Like when you're talking about, ethnicity, are you exoticizing? When you're talking about the female body, where are you putting that in your politics? It's really hard to recognize those things in yourself. And I think that encountering it in this way, in this living room with these women, may be the inroad today that it was then.